okay, so I've got all these things on my to-do list that I plan to do today. I have to do them at some point. When are those things going to happen? And if I don't have a plan for that, I've got no chance. So this is the stats page inside TickTick, and you can see there's a few different views that I find useful. So the first thing I'd recommend, by the way, before you start tracking anything, is categorize your tasks into folders. So if you categorize them into folders, when you come to look at the stats, you'll be able to see things in a much more granular way. Rather than just like tasks complete, you'll be able to see like exactly which tasks were complete and what you worked on. This is, for example, an overview. This is how many Pomodoros I've done today, how many tasks I've done, the total number of tasks I've done, the total number of Pomodoros I've done. It gives you a score and then a completion curve, which is how many of the tasks you were scheduled to do that day did you actually do. And you can filter this by month and week and all that sort of stuff and see how your completion rate changes over time. This is your Pomodoro curve. If you want to use the habits as well, tracks your habits. And this is how many Pomodoros you've done. It's like 17, 16 hours, 12 hours. I don't really use this tab, to be honest, but it's quite cool from a visual perspective. Tasks, very useful. So this is how many tasks I've done versus last week, how many of them I completed versus how many I scheduled. And then the most useful thing is where I spend my time, like what category are these tasks from. So admin, finance, email marketing, ads management. This is just this week. You can change it to last week, for example. We can change it to monthly, and you can just get a really good sense of, rather than thinking, oh, I think all I do is this sort of task. You can actually see where your tasks are from. Same with Pomodoros. It tells you where your Pomodoros are focused on. So if you go to month, for example, 15 hours of time spent on ads management. This is for this month. And sales, unclassified. So that's naughty me. Should have classified those tasks. See the mess you get into if you don't classify things. Email marketing, things that I didn't move out my inbox, which is also a problem. Naughty me. Admin, coaching. And this also gives you like a trend, your year as a heat map, your week as a heat map, and then when in the day you tend to do most of your Pomodoros. I already know the answer to this, but generally speaking, it's like first thing in the morning. So as you can see, my productivity basically declines linearly throughout the day. So knowing that, like having a chart that tells you that, very useful. So that is how I use TickTick stats. The key is categorize your tasks properly. And when you come to do a Pomodoro, make sure you select the task you're about to do. So make sure you pick like, okay, for this 25-minute block, I am going to work, or you can customize that time as well, by the way. But for this block of work, I am going to work on this. And you can pick it from your today view, your drop-down view of what's scheduled for the day. That I think helps with productivity immensely anyway, because it sets this intentionality. And then if you deviate, it's like, well, I was supposed to be doing this. When you come back to review the day at the end, you can see what you were trying to do and what you ended up doing. It's sort of a bit of a self-correction as well. So make sure you categorize tasks. Make sure you pick from the list what you're going to be doing that day before you start.
God, that's exciting. You are a real TickTick power user. Your breakdown of stuff is also great for planning and goal setting, because then I guess you can look at that and say, does the way that my week is allocated reflect my goals? You're going to be very upset at me with this.
Is it just, I imagine it's just like looking at a pile up on a motorway, is it? Oh, that is a lot of tasks, man. So I've done 1,659 tasks, and I was like, yeah, I have. That's loads of tasks.
But my categorization is non-existent.
Ooh. So go back to
very occasionally do a Pomodoro when I remember.
And don't classify it with anything. Go back to your... Right, so I have 8,000 points. You have 57,000 points.
I think I've just been using TickTick for a long time.
The number of tasks is mad.
How does it know? Because maybe I'm not more productive. Maybe
It's based on total tonnage, isn't it?
Total tonnage.
That's it. Like that number, that 54,000 number, that's just your tonnage.
Fair enough.
Like, because if you look in badges, I think this is only available on the mobile app. Like, I looked at this the other day. How cool are we? Right, everyone else is like talking about the football match that was on last night. But what I want to know is, what badges have you got on TickTick? So if you go to, where do I find it?
Oh, here we go. Go to profile.
That's it.
So I'm epic.
Oh, where's that? Actually,
Level 10 TickTick.
I'm only Skyrocket. Level 7 TickTick.
How many badges have you got?
It's not going to focus. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Check my badges. 21 badges. I bet you've got loads.
Not bad. Not bad.
You got, like,
I've got 30.
Oh, shit. But when you actually dig into like what it takes to get a badge, so if you go on your...
There's the various tasks involved in getting a badge. So
on your Get Things Done badge, I'm on Get Things Done 5, which means I've done 1,000 tasks. My next badge is at 5,000 tasks.
Oh, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
I know. Give me something in between. Like, just rewardless between now and Getting Things Done 6.
Unbelievable.
So this is what you can get involved in if you use TickTick, and if you don't want to have the sort of the meaningless dashboard that Yusuf has, categorize your data properly.
My data is completely meaningless at this point because, like, maybe once a week I'll be like, oh yeah, I should use the Pomodoro feature. And then what do you do with that?
What do you mean?
Like, because then you look back on your stats and you're like, oh, I did a Pomodoro this week, but it's not reflective of reality of how much work you've done.
Well, you have to just work in Pomodoros.
Well, yeah, that's the solution.
You'll do that or something similar to that anyway. Like, you'll focus for a bit and then take a break, either on purpose and scheduled or by just force, because you'll lose focus.
Yeah, and the worst thing is realizing, like, midway through a task, oh, I didn't start the Pomodoro timer. Like, I might as well. It's almost like I went to the gym and I didn't take an ass selfie. Like, what's the point in even training?
So I think it's like I'm going to the gym with like sets and reps planned. You're going to the gym to just train back. Like, both of us will probably train back, but I'll have like next week last week I did 3 sets of back, because the thing that I've learned is this task takes 2.5 Pomodoros or 3 Pomodoros, which is tremendously helpful, because then I just block my day out in Pomodoros when I'm planning it. I'm like, well, I have this many available Pomodoros generally before I lose concentration.
You can probably tell from the last few episodes of the podcast that we've had a bit of a resurgence in, like, a bit of a productivity menopause followed by another puberty again. I guess that's the closest way to describe it. And it's really, like, seeing you go through these things has really highlighted my blind spots, that you're very good at closing that feedback loop and identifying, like, here I overscheduled, or here I tried to put too much into one day, or I under or overestimated the number of Pomodoros it would take to get this thing done.
But that's all caused by your original suggestion, which I guess is like really cemented by the Oliver Berkman book, which is that if something isn't on your calendar, you won't get it done. And I used to fight that a lot, because it doesn't make sense to me. But I think it didn't make sense to me, but I think having like a map of the week has allowed me to then realize, okay, well, my to-do list is basically that. That's me saying, like, this is my to-do list and this is what I intend to do my to-do list. They aren't calendar events though, in the strictest sense for me. They're like, it's a training plan for the week. Like, I might not do some of the exercises depending on my recovery, but it's a training. That's what I intend to do over the next 5 days of training sessions.
For sure. And then the ultimate slap in the face is looking at that and then being like, well, I've got all these other things that I'm telling myself that I should be doing. Like, when do I reasonably expect myself to do them, when this is what my calendar looks like?
So that, I think you've always been pro put things on your calendar, and I've always been against it. But I think that realization of, like, okay, so I've got all these things on my to-do list that I plan to do today. I have to do them at some point. When are those things going to happen? And if I don't have a plan for that, I've got no chance.
But I mean, even though I try and time box stuff, there's still part of me that's obviously resisting it, because I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that's just like, I somehow, like, it's exactly the same shit logic that happens when you're like lying in bed, 4 a.m, you need a wee, and you go, oh, I need a wee, but I'm quite comfortable and I'm a bit sleepy. I'll just leave it. And then like an hour later, you're bursting for a wee and you're like, why didn't I just go? It's exactly that logic.
Like in and out of light sleep for an hour now. And the problem's still there. I think the thing that I think I maybe feel a little bit better at this than I think you are, is leaving things undone. Like looking at my list and thinking, well, I have the plan for the week and that's not on there. I can't do it.
Yeah, deliberately sacking off a thing. There's also another hidden Watson skill that I think I don't know if you're even aware that you are good at this, but let's say you're like, I've got to go and catch a train at 12, so I need to leave the house at 11:30. For me, that would tank like the late morning. Whereas I think you'll like work all the way up to 11:30 and be like, right, I'm going.
Yeah, I think I will. But I think that's a Pomodoro thing. So it's like, if I can fit a full Pomodoro in, great.
Fine. Yeah.
So like, if I've got 25 minutes, I can categorize that like any other block of work I do throughout the day. And if I can't, I'll do 20 minutes or 15 minutes and then just pause the Pomodoro timer and do the rest when I can. I think it, like, if you've not read the book, The Pomodoro Method by, I think it's like Francesco Cisolelli or something like that. It makes a really compelling argument for like just treating your day as blocks of time. It doesn't have to be 25 minutes, but it's a block of time that you switch work mode on, and then while that's happening, you do everything you possibly can to protect the Pomodoro while the timer is. So there's like a few rules, like you protect it. Once the time is started, it must finish. You write down distractions rather than act on them, and all these sorts of things. And I think like it's a similar sort of feeling to the Oliver Berkman thing, that like instead of trying to manage time, like just work with it, work alongside it as it's progressing throughout the day.
Yeah,
to focus up.
It's the Parkinson's Law World Championships, isn't it?
Yeah,
just taking it. You know what it is? It's taking a simple idea and taking it seriously.
There we go.